Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kathy Meyer. I'm the Director of Marketing from TCNA. And this is Ryan Coyle. She's our Marketing Communications Specialist at TCNA. And what we're going to talk today about is the topic of sustainability. And as you know, sustainability is a pretty broad topic. Like, what does it mean to be green? What does it mean to be sustainable? So what we're going to try to do today is package up into some small packages with some key messaging what the tile industry is doing in order to communicate the benefits and all of the goodness of a sustainable product called ceramic tile. Okay. But before we get into that, we have to talk a little bit about the competition to help frame this story. As you know, LVT, rigid core, all these vinyl products, which are made out of plastic, are in the news today. And with all that negative publicity and stuff, gives us a perfect opportunity to help showcase all of the benefits and the sustainability of ceramic tile. So I just wanted to quickly go through the headlines. I mean, they're everywhere. They're flooding social media. They're flooding all kinds of newspapers and stuff. Everyone is now becoming more aware of what plastic is doing. And we're not talking about plastic in the ocean. We're talking about plastic in our building products. And so specifically, we're here to talk about flooring. In this article, you can see this is all talking about that train derailment that happened just a month ago in Ohio, in East Palestine, Ohio. That was vinyl chloride. That was a two-state environmental and health disaster between Ohio and Pennsylvania. And what was in that rail car was vinyl chloride, and vinyl chloride is the key ingredient for making PVC, which is what is in vinyl flooring. So it is chloride gas that is causing all the damage there right now. And here's an article from GRIS that just said, you know, the disaster is a reminder of the health and safety risks that accompany reliance on fossil fuels, like vinyl chloride. The chemical released from the rail cars is a petrochemical. Its primary use is making polyvinyl chloride, or PVC, a type of plastic widely used in vinyl flooring. And this is another from the Fast Company. And here we're talking about not only did this accident remind us of the dangers from that accident, and it's not just about the flooring in your home, but it's the whole life cycle of this flooring that is a potential hazard. And it's not, so that accident is only one challenge of the PVC products, because they're dangerous to make. They're dangerous for the workers in the communities that are nearby. And when they're thrown out, that can just lead to more pollution, because you either have to burn it, and when you burn it, you see what happens. And if you put it in the landfill, it's going to be here forever and ever, probably for the next dinosaurs, whatever happens to this planet. I mean, it's going to be around forever. And products, which is the interesting point in this whole article was, and products like vinyl flooring keep growing despite the fact there are safer alternatives. And here's a recent post from the Healthy Building Network, and I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but it's just her whole point was, it's a sad reminder, the accident in Ohio, the true cost of toxic products like vinyl. And here is a statement that the Healthy Building Network made I think it's just been about 2 years ago, that LVT may be the fastest growing flooring product in the world, but it's a throwback to the inequitable, unsustainable world we say is unacceptable, yet it's the world we're trying, and it's not the world we're trying to create, but yet that's the products we're choosing. So you can see these quotes and others are definitely being compounded and raising even more awareness since this rail accident. They're also, from the Centers of Environmental Health, also released a very, very good paper. If you get a chance to read this, you can just Google it and look it up. It looked at all of the carbon emissions and that was coming out of vinyl flooring. And it's very technical, not technically written, but technical background on this. It's not just someone saying this. They did a lot of research, and you can see all the stuff that's coming off of vinyl flooring. And like I said, with green becoming bigger than ever and then these negative plastic headlines, this is a perfect opportunity to showcase the benefits of ceramic tile in terms of being sustainable. And when you look at the increased environmental awareness that we all are seeing right now, and the concerns to our environment, along with the climate and environmental focus of our current U.S. administration, this is a perfect time for us to be telling a ceramic tile sustainability story. And so with that, I had mentioned we're going to make this easy. We're going to try to package this into how our industry, the ceramic tile industry, is looking at this. And we're going to talk through, Ryan and I, the 4 initiatives. But I'm going to show you what the package is so that you're aware of how we're going to go through this talk. So we look at it in 2 ways. Sustainability is looked at by either your product performance or your product transparency. And in product performance, it's, do products meet our minimum expectations of what we expect a sustainable product should be? And when we look at product transparency, are manufacturers in the industry really being honest about the environmental impacts of their product and honest about the health impacts of their product? And so the 4 initiatives that the tile industry has, and I'm sure if you've been walking around, you've seen these, but it's Green Squared to measure our product performance. I'm going to skip down. We have 2 transparencies. We have either the environmental or product declarations, which looks at environmental transparency, and we have the material ingredient guide that looks at health transparency. And then the brand new one that we've just started working on is embodied carbon. And I'm sure everyone by the end of this show is going to have heard of embodied carbon by now. But we're going to talk about that because it has aspects both in the product performance side as well as in the transparency side. So without further ado, we're going to jump into these 4 initiatives just so you're aware of what they are. We're going to summarize the key points so you know what the key talking points are, but we have to go through these slides for the key talking points to make sense.
So we're going to start with Green Squared. So what is Green Squared? Green Squared is our tile industry standard and certification program, which is also called a multi-attribute sustainability standard. It really is the one standard that's recognized in the U.S. for the ceramic tile industry. It's specified in LEED, it's in building codes, and now basically every government procurement program now has a reference to Green Squared. It's also third-party certified in ANSI A 138.1 standard by SES and UL. So let's take a deeper dive into the standard. So what is a multi-attribute standard? Green Squared is based on the ANSI A138.1 standard. And this standard covers multiple attributes like product characteristics. So this is your VOCs, your recycled content, packaging. It also covers manufacturing, so what kind of fuels are used in the manufacturing, emissions, other aspects within the factory, so water usage and resource usage. It also focuses on end of life. It focuses on the corporation itself, so it has some social sustainability tied in as well. And then finally, it focuses on innovation. So the Green Squared standard and certification, based on ANSI A138.1, we like to say it's 5 standards in one. So it doesn't just cover ceramic tile, it also covers powder installation products like grout and mortar, it covers liquid and paste products, and also membranes and backer boards. So what you can see on the screen is a list of companies that have Green Squared certified products. I do want to mention that most of these are U.S. companies, but we do have some foreign participation as well. There's a number of companies that aren't listed here because they're currently in the process of being certified. So we should have some more green certified products soon. If you want to learn more about these companies and the products that are certified, you can visit greensquaredcertified.com and you can click on where to find certified products. So let's do a quick recap of the product performance when it comes to Green Squared. Thank you. Number 1, Green Squared certified products meet the standardized threshold for environmental product performance criteria, defining sustainable tile, mortar, and grout, and other related installation products. It is certified by the multi-attribute Green Squared ANSI standard A138.1. Also with Green Squared, when it comes to product performance, it answers that question that Kathy had mentioned earlier on whether or not a ceramic tile product meets the minimum expectations of what a sustainable product should be. So we've talked about product performance with Green Squared, so now let's shift gears a little bit to transparency, specifically material health transparency through Ceramic Tiles Industry Material Ingredient Guide. So there's definitely a growing demand to know what materials are being used in your products. Maybe some of you, when you're working on projects, would want to know what materials are being used, what ingredients are being used in your materials when you're trying to meet certain leadership standards for health. And according to Healthy Building Network, you should know what's in your products. It's their position that the consumer should know what is in their products and that it's the manufacturer's responsibility to provide that information on what ingredients they're using in their products. So it really does seem like a simple concept when you phrase it that way, but it's really not so simple in terms of compliance when you're trying to meet specifications and determining which rating system you're trying to achieve points with in terms of this material ingredient reporting. So in this market of material ingredient reporting, TCNA and our members actually work to create a material ingredient guide for the ceramic tile industry. This is a tool to not only educate the design community, but it's also beneficial for manufacturers on how to provide the design community with what they're looking for in terms of material ingredient reporting. So whether that's for a health product declaration, a material ingredient report in general, LEED building challenge, or something a little bit more specific in terms of certification. But I would say that the most powerful thing that can be found in the material ingredient guide are these ingredients that have already been pre-screened through what's called green screen assessments. So the material ingredient guide provides a library of pre-approved green screen assessments out of 34 of the most common ingredients found in ceramic tile, mortar, and grout. And this can be really helpful to manufacturers because they can pull from this library and also use the reporting efforts to provide transparent material ingredient information to designers and architects. And this is really important because you can get the maximum points in leading green building programs, including LEED, WELL, Living Building Challenge, and other leadership programs if you have products that are pre-screened under these green assessment programs. Ceramic tile is actually the first industry to create a material ingredient guide like this. Before this, it was mostly product and brand specific. And we're hoping through this material ingredient guide that it provides the ceramic tile industry with something that they can be a little bit more thorough and consistent across the industry with how they're reporting their ingredients and how they're showing the health impacts of what these products are made out of. Also, the good thing about being the first as an industry is that we set the precedent for other industries so that they can follow what we're doing with not only material ingredient reporting, but also with promoting green products through these green screen assessments. One of the things that we like to say in the ceramic tile industry is that we use ingredients in our products that you can not only trust, but that you can pronounce. When you're looking at these competitive industries that are using these synthesized chemicals and polymers, and you're looking at these ingredients, you have no idea where to start in looking on what's in these kind of products, unlike ceramic tile. So let's do a quick recap of product transparency when it comes to our material ingredient guide to provide you some key takeaways. The material ingredient guide provides an industry framework for developing transparent product ingredient reports, which satisfies this complex green and healthy building criteria needed by designers and architects to obtain these LEED and WELL building credits. The Material Ingredient Guide also provides third-party certification green screen assessments, as I mentioned previously, for 34 of the most common ingredients found in tile, mortar, and grout. And this helps to facilitate more participation into these LEED and WELL optimization credits, which gives us a really big competitive advantage compared to other flooring options that do not contain these green screen assessed products. Without further ado, I'll hand it back over to Kathy to talk a little bit more about product transparency when it comes to environmental product declarations and embodied carbon.
So we'll continue talking about transparency, but now we're going to talk about environmental transparency. And we just went through the Material Ingredient Guide, but the ceramic tile industry is doing a lot in terms of environmental product declarations, getting at the environmental impacts that our products, including mortar and grout, make on the planet Earth. We have 3 industry-wide EPDs, meaning it covers the entire ceramic tile, in North American ceramic tile industry versus the specific product ones, because some companies have specific product ones. We're going to be talking about the industry-wide ones. And we have 1 for mortar, 1 for tile, and 1 for grout. And we call this triple transparency, meaning we have transparency for the entire installed system, not just say the LVT. They're not including the adhesives and other things when they look at their environmental impacts. We're looking at the entire system, which also means you get triple the points in any of the green building programs, because you can count an EPD for the material, but also the installation material. So you can get triple the points where the other flooring can only get 1. So environmental product declarations, that's what we call an EPD. This is how we are as an industry and other flooring, because we all, and I'm going to get into this in a minute, EPDs are governed by what is called a product category rule, a PCR. And a PCR sets the rules for how it is you're going to report your environmental impact. So everyone is the same here, which is good. So what makes it nice is we can do head-to-head comparisons because we're talking the same rules. It's apples to apples to apples, which makes it very nice. So we're going to talk about 2 main categories: global warming potential, because that's the one you hear all the time, and oh, by the way, that is how we measure embodied carbon, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And the other is fossil fuel resource depletion. So those are the 2 main ones when people are looking at environmental footprint. Those are the 2 that get the most attention. So the easiest way, though, to think about an EPD, it's like a nutrition label like you see on the box of cereal. You look at the side, it tells you what's there, but it doesn't tell you, for example, 500 grams of sugar, is that good or bad? It just says you got 500 grams of sugar. But what's nice about it is when you go to look product to product to product, that label is standardized, and that's what an EPD provides, a standardized way for people to communicate their environmental impact. So that's what's really, really good. Now, EPDs haven't been around that long, and so that's really nice that right now a lot of products don't have them, or industries don't have them. But I heard from a talk earlier this week that probably within 5 to 6 years it's going to be required that all products or an industry covering their products have an EPD. So as I mentioned, we have 3 EPDs, and I'm just going to go through these really quickly so you can just see the companies that are covered by these North American EPD standards. So we've got one, as I said, for tile, and you can see all the major manufacturers that it covers. We have one for mortar, and you can see all the major mortar companies are on that list. And then we also have one for grout. And the grout and mortar, we're happy to report, was just renewed this year, so it's good for another 5 years. So this is very recent analysis that was just done to create these EPDs. And again, these aren't done by us. These are done third-party certified. So this is an independent looking, our manufacturers supply their ingredients, supply their product, and then the analysis is done. So the nice thing you can see about the tile industry is we have just about with these three EPDs, about 99% of our industry participating in these EPDs. So you'll know that any product you pick, you're going to have an EPD, it's going to be covered, you're going to be able to get the points. And the significance I'm going to get into about this is before EPDs, people just use them as a check mark. I have them, I'm going to get the point. No one cared about what they said. But now we're all more aware, we're all more environmentally conscious. The government absolutely is more conscious of what's going on from the environment. So now people are reading these EPDs. And so for the first time, it's really with this push with embodied carbon that this has come to be, that people really want to know what are in these products. So we're going to dive into right now and look at what an EPD can help you see. So as I mentioned, we are governed by a product category rule, and that product category rule for all flooring. And we didn't make, TCNA, the tile industry, didn't make this up. We had all of the major flooring categories got together and determined what that product category rule stated. And it states that you're going to look at environmental impacts over the life of a building, which they have said is 75 years. And it's cradle to grave, meaning it's not just the manufacturing and what carbon or global warming impact or any of the impacts are just for manufacturing, but it's for the life of the entire product and however many repeats of the product, how many times you have to replace it over 75 years. So if you have a less durable product, you have to replace it more often to meet the 75-year life of a building rule. If you have a more durable product like ceramic tile, wood, stone, you don't have to replace it. And that's going to be very critical when we get to embodied carbon. Now when you look at this graph, this is this bar chart, this is the global warming potential of all the flooring based on published UL certified EPDs. So we just looked at everyone else's EPDs, looked at ceramic tile. Ceramic tile is the green bar in front, the little one in front. All the other bars are the other flooring, the vinyls flooring, the carpets, all those are behind, and you can see ceramic tile is significantly lower. But more importantly, like I said, we have an EPD for mortar and grout. That is the bar chart in the upper right-hand corner, and the lighter shades of green are the impact for global warming that grout causes and mortar. And when I add up that entire pie chart, our green bar is still lower than the next lowest bar. So when you take the entire tile system, we are lower from a global warming potential environmental impact than just the material alone of a vinyl or carpet or other flooring product. And then if we look at specifically, just because I know it was hard to see those numbers, if you look at, in perspective, look at how global warming potential and how it compares to LVT and rigid core. LVT is 2 times higher than ceramic tile, and rigid core is 3 times higher than ceramic tile in terms of global warming impact. And when we get to fossil fuel resource depletion, vinyl tile is 3 times higher in a environmental impact, and rigid core is 5 times higher than ceramic tile. So there's huge differences here. And again, this is cradle to grave, and I'm saying that for a very important reason, which you're going to see in a minute. And again, I kind of hinted at this, but why 75 years? And as I mentioned, it is because of our product category rule, and it has many rules. And these rules state that it's the life of a building of 75 years, so you have to count all your replacements as you build your environmental impacts. And that building life is 75 years, and it's cradle to grave, not just replacement manufacturing costs, but replacement of use, replacement of maintenance and replacement of deinstalling and getting it disposed of. So that is, and that's the right way to look at it, because if you don't look at it over the entire life, what are we going to end up with? Less durable products that are constantly being thrown out, and how is that helping the environment? This is important when we look at from the carbon leadership team. They've also stated that you need to be using that cradle to grave. So it's not even just our product category rule, which is great because we already cover it, but there's other products other than flooring, and I don't know what they are, but imagine if it was lighting or bathroom fixtures or something like that. Their product category rule may not be cradle to grave, but ours is, and the carbon leadership team is saying that if you're going to be measuring embodied carbon and doing proper carbon accounting, another new term, carbon accounting, carbon accounting has to be across the life cycle of the product over 75 years of a building, and that's what they're also stating. And then when we look at just recapping, what is the importance of an EPD? EPDs are how our industry and the entire flooring industry reports environmental impact data through the EPDs, and that gives you the transparency of our environmental impact. We have 3, so we have mortar, grout, and tile, so that gives us triple transparency as well as triple the points. Embodied carbon is a measurement of that global warming potential, so that's how right now the marketplace measures it, is by that global warming potential as reported by your EPD following your PCR. These are all important, and I'll show you why in a minute. And finally, when comparing EPDs of other flooring, ceramic tile has the lowest environmental footprint over all other flooring. So now, our last topic, we're going to talk about embodied carbon, and what exactly is embodied carbon? Well, it's the greenhouse gas emissions arising from the manufacturing, the transportation, the installation, the maintenance, and disposal of building materials, again, cradle to grave. It's in North America, again, we're using our EPDs to help measure that, and it's the global warming potential that we just talked about. But if you look across here, we talk about the different product life cycle, and the orange clouds are where embodied carbon is being measured when you look across the life cycle of a product, or cradle to grave. This might make it a little bit easier. It's a little bit bigger to see. This is from the World Green Building Council again, and this is where you'll start hearing people refer to modules. When we talk about cradle to gate, it is what we call the A modules. That's where the product is being manufactured. So it's everything from removing the minerals and ingredients from wherever you're getting them or making them synthetically, transporting them to the factory to make, and then the factory is loaded the final product and transport it to wherever it's going. That's referred to as cradle to gate. Cradle to grave takes into account the B modules there in the middle. That's the use. So that's the over that use life of a building of 75 years. So that includes your maintenance, your replacements, all that stuff, and then the end of life. And that's what we're defining as how embodied carbon should be measured and accounted for. So why is this so hard to understand? Well, there's no standards, and there's no true definition. We have people like I just showed you, that's their definition of what people should be doing, but it's no hard, fast rule. So consultants and others are helping companies to report their embodied carbon, and what we're finding is tools and things that weren't thinking about interior finishing, but looking at major sources of building a building, the steel, the concrete. Well, the B module and the C module didn't mean anything, right? If you take out the steel and take out the concrete, you're taking down the building. So there is no worry about the maintenance of the steel that you can't get to. So a lot of these tools that are currently measuring embodied carbon for architects, for designers, only account for the A modules. So it's not the true carbon accounting. And so what's happening is especially with the government now doing the Inflation Reduction Act, and I'm going to show you that impact in just a minute in terms of dollars. The government is throwing money out to say we want buildings to be low carbon, low embodied carbon, and we're going to be handing out contracts and spending money, GSA, the government spending money to buy things for low embodied carbon products. Well, what's going to happen is people are going to want to position themselves with whatever things they have. So there's calculators out there that just do the A modules, which is going to make, like I said, the less durable products look much better. So now you have people reporting their embodied carbon as only the A modules and not the true life cycle costs. So now architects are all confused because products that before had EPDs and flooring that stated should be over the life of the building, for example, had one product, I'm not naming names, and it's an LVT product. 2 years ago, before embodied carbon was a thing, it's the exact same product, the exact same name, the exact same SKU number. Their embodied carbon number was over 400. Today it's 11. Same product. And it's only because they're reporting the A modules to look better. And they're not doing anything, well, they're not doing anything wrong by using those carbon calculators because that's what the architects are using. In this particular instance, they are wrong because, as we said before, for flooring, it needs to follow the product category rules, which is cradle to grave over the life of a building. So that's where that is problematic. But like I said, other EPDs aren't defining themselves that way by their product category rule. And the major tool that is a carbon calculator is this thing called EC3, and that stands for Embodied Carbon in Construction Calculator. And so we've been working, the tile industry is working with EC3, and we're making really good progress with them. Actually, a pilot was just released 2 days ago with the brand new tiling category. So everything related to tiling is in there. So for right now, again, it's just the A modules, like I said, but we're working with them to expand their tool to include the entire life cycle because they also agree we should be carbon accounting for the entire life cycle of a product, and we're working with them to help do that. And we're, once again, you know, our industry is helping to lead the way. And as I mentioned, this Inflation Reduction Act, this is the amount of money we're talking about. I mean, it's a lot of money on the table. So right now, $363 billion have been allocated for carbon and green energy. And of that, 2.15 billion, that's billion with a B, is going towards low carbon GSA buildings, meaning the government, who is our largest purchaser of construction materials, wants low embodied carbon. So you can see the incentive for people to position their products to have the lowest embodied carbon. But the good news is they're also setting aside, of that $2.15 billion, $250 million to work with the industries to help other industries get their EPDs, because like I said, probably in about 5 years it's going to be mandatory or required that everyone have an EPD, but help them develop it, help to standardize EPDs more, but more importantly, also get at this definition of embodied carbon, because, you know, the government threw this out, but didn't bother to ask industry, what does it mean? How do you measure it? What's included? So, so we're trying to help them right now, and it's the FTC hasn't updated their green guides, and I think it's, I don't know, Ryan, do you remember, 10, 15 years that they haven't updated, and right now they've got a reach out to everyone in the industry, and all that information is due back to them next month to help them update. And believe it or not, their green guides don't even include EPDs, because when they did it, EPDs were just, again, like I said, the check mark, and now they're going to be including EPDs, which is good. So just to recap on embodied carbon, as mentioned earlier, but worth repeating, embodied carbon is the EPD global warming potential defined by the flooring PCR as the full product life cycle over a building life of 75 years. And that's all flooring. And as I mentioned, there's challenges in the marketplace today on how to report embodied carbon because standards and definitions do not exist, and this is causing the marketplace confusion. Since tools and consultants like the EC3 tool I just showed use cradle to gate, and others are using cradle to grave. So the A module only versus the A through C modules. The Inflation Reduction Act is allocating money to the industry to help develop more EPDs, to help standardize the EPDs, and also to help develop embodied carbon standards, which will help eliminate this confusion and help eliminate this challenge. The tile industry is leading and supporting cradle to grave reporting by developing that tiling category in EC3, and we're going to help them to develop it beyond the A module to get to the full product life cycle. And so that's basically, that is the sustainability story of tile in our four little packages. And so again, here it is, it's performance, it's transparency. And again, the one thing we didn't talk about because there wasn't going to be enough time is the optimization. If you have green screened ingredients and it covers over 75% of your product, you can get these optimization credits, which are even more credits in the green building programs. And right now, ceramic tile is one of the only ones that can get those credits. No other flooring can do that right now. And you don't see the plastic carpet and vinyl even giving out a health ingredient report of any kind. So that tells you something. And we're well positioned, as I said. We've got the performance through Green Squared. We've got the environmental transparency through the EPDs. We have the material health transparency through a material ingredient guide. And we're working on helping to get the embodied carbon calculators to be full cradle to grave. All this information is available in our Tile the Natural Choice brochure. This is available on whytile.com, and it has all these things we just talked about. And it also has, if anyone's an architect or designer or needs to know where products stand, we have a handy dandy chart that gets into detail for the more larger green building programs, the detailed credits you can get with ceramic tile, mortar, and grout. Again, and that's also in the Tile the Natural Choice. So that's it from our standpoint. We thank you for coming, and we can entertain any questions if you have any. Well, thanks again for coming. I know it's a busy day, so thanks for taking time out and paying attention to us. Have a great show. Thanks.